Welcome to the Deep Dive. You know the mission. Cut through the noise, get you genuinely well-informed, fast. Today, we're tackling Robert T. Kiyosaki's Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Big impact since '97. It's what, around 200 pages?
Oh.
A real bestseller. We're going to break down the core ideas, the lessons, the good, and, well, the points people argue about.
Okay.
Give you the shortcut. Okay, so let's unpack this. Kiyosaki sets it all up with these two sort of contrasting dads, right? His own poor dad and his friend's rich dad. Why start there?
Right. It's really the foundation. It immediately tells you this isn't just about earning a salary. It's about mindset. The poor dad is, the traditional path.
Right.
Good education, job security, pension. Solid, but maybe limited thinking about wealth.
Okay, the standard advice most of us probably heard growing up.
Exactly. And then there's rich dad, the entrepreneur, the
Yeah.
investor, someone who sees money, assets, income generation completely differently.
So it's not just earn more.
Yeah.
It's think differently to make money work for you.
That's the core message right there. The fundamental difference in how the poor, middle class, and the wealthy supposedly approach finance.
Interesting. So if that's the mindset shift, what are the key lessons he wants you to take away? Where does it get practical?
Well, first big one is financial education. Simple as that. He hammers home that schools don't teach you about money. Not really.
Yeah, not how to manage it, how it grows.
Right. You need to understand things like assets, liabilities, cash flow, that basic language of money.
And that leads straight into maybe his most famous idea, assets versus liabilities.
Mm-hmm.
How does he define that? It seems simple, but it clearly hit a nerve.
It is simple. Assets put money in your pocket. Liabilities take money out. That's the rule.
Okay, so give me examples. Assets are like...
Investments, maybe rental properties bringing in cash.
Yeah.
Stocks paying dividends. Things that generate income.
liabilities.
Your mortgage, car loans, credit card debt. Things that cost you money every month. And here's the kicker. He argues the rich focus on buying assets, while most people buy liabilities they think are assets, like maybe their house sometimes.
Ah, okay. That's a controversial one sometimes, the house thing.
It can be, but it ties into his idea of the rat race.
Right, the rat race. I think we all know that feeling. Working hard, paying bills.
Exactly. Stuck in that cycle. Earning just to spend, paying off debt, never getting ahead because you don't have the financial literacy, the asset focus to break out.
So how do you break out? Is that where work to learn, not to earn comes in?
Precisely. It's about seeing jobs as opportunities to gain skills. Sales, marketing, investing, accounting skills you can use to build your own thing.
Your own business, your own investments.
Yeah, minding your own business, as he put it. Oh, big time. Fear holds people back from investing, from starting businesses. He says the wealthy see failure differently.
How so?
That's a learning opportunity. Risk isn't something to avoid entirely. It's part of the process. You manage it, you learn from mistakes, you don't let fear paralyze you.
And there's a bit about taxes, too, and
Mhm.
corporations, how the rich play the game differently.
Yeah, he touches on that, using legal structures like corporations, understanding the tax code to minimize taxes legally. He argues knowing those systems is crucial.
Okay, so there are some really powerful, maybe even disruptive ideas there. What makes the book stick? What are its biggest strengths, you'd say?
Well, first off, it's just so easy to get. The stories, the analogies, they make complex financial ideas feel, accessible.
It doesn't feel like a textbook.
Not at all. And it's incredibly motivating. It really pushes you to think differently about money, maybe challenge that idea that a good job is the only path.
It sparked that entrepreneurial spirit, maybe.
Absolutely. Self-reliance, investing, building something for yourself, that's a huge part of its appeal.
But, like you said, it's controversial, too. No book this big escapes criticism. What are the main pushbacks?
That's important, yeah. A big one is the lack of concrete, actionable advice. It's heavy on mindset, less on how exactly to invest step by step.
More what and why, less how.
Kind of. Then there's the whole question about whether Rich Dad was even, a real person or more of a composite character.
Which could affect credibility for some readers.
For sure. And critics also point to oversimplification. Real finance is messy, right? Not always as clean-cut as asset versus liability sounds in the book.
Life has nuance.
Exactly. And there's a risk of misinterpretation, like taking don't work for money the wrong way and maybe dismissing the value of a stable career or just plain hard work.
Right, balance is probably key.
Yeah.
So, wrapping this up, what's the big takeaway for someone listening?
Well, here's something to chew on. How could you take these ideas, the inspiration, the mindset shift, but apply them critically? Balance them with, the complexities of real-world finance. How might thinking about assets, liabilities, and what real financial education means for you How might that actually change things? Maybe start by asking yourself, how do you define wealth in your own life now that you've got these perspectives?